who's the CEO of Territree Technologies and is an entrepreneur learning to create the next big business, and currently works at the cusp of social media, mobile internet, and big data. Territree seeks to bring social shopping into the mainstream business, and he himself has vast experience of making successful telecom solutions for global markets, mainly around online billing and charging, and open source software and innovative 3G and 4G applications, media and security solutions. And he'll be talking about affordable technologies and internet access in India.
Thank you. So good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. Okay, so it was interesting. I did a bit of work with CIS last year. We were working on some of the topics, and then it's always a pleasure to talk about some of these things because that's something which I'm very passionate about. So when somebody asked me that can you do a little bit of talk around internet and mobile internet, it was pretty exciting for me. Probably I want to do a 5-10 minutes of introductions, not the traditional introduction. I want to do a different introduction. Yeah? So I want to introduce, or I want to have introductions from you with what mobile phone do you have. So I don't want to know your name. I want to just know what you have. So, so just a different identity because all of us actually flaunt it wherever we go. We have it with us. It's with us all the time. So many people don't even look at your face. Probably they look at your phone, what phone you have. So it's probably 5 minutes. I just want to see. I want the phones on the table because we will use them for some things. So that's the exercise. So probably I'll start. So I see a Samsung S3 or S4.
No, Galaxy Grand.
Oh, sorry, Galaxy Grand. Thank you.
LG Nexus 4.
LG Nexus 4. HTC HD7. That is Windows, yeah, first Windows. 2 Android and 1 Windows.
Samsung Galaxy, Android, and
Android, okay. Excellent, so I will come to this. So it's Sony Ericsson, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, it is a phone. It is still a phone. You will see more of those in my table. I'll show some of the old ones.
they used to make them like that.
Yeah, no, they're still made, they're still used, and this is the affordable device which still Indians buy. Nokia C3, excellent, okay. iPhone, so first iPhone. Yeah, first BlackBerry. Samsung, Android again, I think. Yeah, that duos, okay. Xperia, so Android. Nokia, do you know the model? Okay, you don't know. No, that's great because I haven't seen, I don't know the model number, so I was just seeing. No, there is no model number there. So that's great, that's a Symbian phone. So we got the first Symbian. I think there is no Symbian there. There's the first Symbian phone. BlackBerry. This should be Android.
No.
No? Okay. This is the Bada.
Samsung Duos, ordinary one.
Yeah, so that should be Bada. So it should be Bada. I don't know. We have to open and see then. So this is Nokia. Excellent.
Xperia, I guess.
Xperia. So we already moved to Android back again.
The lowest in Nokia.
So that's not the real lowest end because that's a good phone. The phone which works. But we will see whether it's the best phone for mobile internet, which we don't know. Note 2, okay. First Note, there was one Note there. Nokia, okay. E63, yeah. 101, see. I think she got the, she won right now, as of now. Galaxy. Galaxy. Okay, Nokia and BlackBerry. BlackBerry. Android. I think you had lots of them. I saw there was an older Nokia, if you have not seen this. No, you haven't seen the one which breaks. There are stone. I have those, the rocks, which used to be a hard device to hit anybody. Yeah. So the communicators used to be like the candy bar. I mean, you can actually hit people with that. Okay. So I hope you got what I was trying to do. Sorry. Yeah, I'll come to my introduction a little later. I will talk about all my devices. I have all my devices, so we'll talk about it. So amazing. So you could see that there is such a variety of devices in our hand, the way we talked about it. Of course, predominantly As with a small sample size, we can see Android is dominating here in terms of the number of devices. iPhone is niche, just one right now in the table. I'll give you company, so there are two, not one. Okay, so there is one more iPhone here, so three, but it's still a niche segment. You saw a good number of Nokia phones. Nokia may not be the leader. Okay, just a disclaimer, I did work for Nokia Siemens for a long time, so I have something to do with Nokia, though I use iPhone, but I'm a Nokia fan. Nokia may not be the market leader right now, but still Nokia is one of the devices which is still afforded by masses. It's still, Asha series is one of the popular one even now. Asha is bought by many people. The feature phones, I still know a lot of people who own some of those phones and swear by it, saying, I can speak with this. Yeah, you can drop it, you can do anything you want. Exactly. And battery rocks in that. That's a good one, right? Because you won't lose the phone. So, yeah, absolutely. So the old Nokia phones are still very popular, not with everyone, but probably they are not the best devices right now for internet. But there are Nokia phones for internet. Still the affordable phones, not the expensive ones. I'm not talking about the expensive phones. There are Nokia phones for it. But of course, I did not see any Chinese phone right now. What I mean by Chinese is unbranded phones, which I don't expect any of you to carry it, but I was hoping that somebody has something which is not any of these brands. But if
we have more than a dozen of them in our office.
I know, I was hoping that we could get some of those. Okay, it's at home. But if you notice, that is one of those affordable devices which masses are buying right now, which probably doesn't appear in any market share numbers, because you would hear market share of exactly what we heard here. Samsung leader, and then probably Nokia coming in, and then iOS coming a third. That's the same same data you would get even in a market survey. But what we don't see is the amount of non-branded phones which actually get sold. Which I don't think there's any credible data, because it's all sold in black market. You really don't know how many of these are sold, and you just have to go out, walk around in taxis and just talk to the taxi drivers. Most of them have many of these phones with internet. I'm not talking about, again, that's a disclaimer. It's a phone which you can just use for voice. They all use for internet. Yeah, there are anything. You can look. Just now I was talking to my driver, and he has a 4 SIM card phone. He showed me. I asked him, can you give it? I will take it to the session, but he said, no, I get my calls in that. No, I didn't have a spare phone to give him to swap. So he said, no, I have 3 SIM cards. I get calls from 3 SIMs. So I said, okay, just keep it. I don't want to. So you get what I mean? And he was discussing with me on internet. He was talking to me, why does it buffer in a Samsung phone and it does not buffer in a Chinese phone? Actually, I did not have an answer. I said, I don't know, maybe something in the device. He said, no, we did some test. Me and my friend, he has a Samsung Duos, and then he put a SIM, 3G SIM. Both of them have a 3G connection, by the way. They're using 3G connection, and they are watching videos using 3G connection. And he wanted to know how to set up internet for email. So I asked him, would you really use email? But then he said, okay, probably not very important, but if you get videos working for me, that's fine. So his consumption was videos, music, which is still internet in a way. Yeah. So he's consuming internet, and there are affordable packages like 30 rupees, unlimited 3G for 3 days. That's what he's bought.
Start from 5 rupees.
Yeah, there is also a 5 rupee package. He's got some special package which also says morning 6 to 9 in the morning, internet 3G is free. If you pay some 30, 40 rupees for a week or something. So it's absolutely free, unlimited. Even I asked him, what is the plan? Even I want to take that plan because I do a lot of download. He said he will get me the plan. So he said morning 6 to 9 is free, 3G, with a particular plan. And you just have to pay some 30 rupees or something for it for a week. So I hope you're getting a sense of it. There are devices which are making it extremely popular for anybody, everybody in India to have internet consumption. Internet, we will see why they consume, how they consume. I think that we will also discuss. So what I've done right now is there is no standard slide, because I think that's, for this session it doesn't make sense. We're not talking technology, we're not talking business, we're not talking market, and we're talking about experiences, we're talking about why we use it, what we use it for, and stuff like this. So I want to keep it more interactive. I will come to your phones, I want to make you do some of those things, say how did you make the setting. So we will do those, because I think that makes it, probably it's also the last session, right? I don't want you to feel very heavy in what I'm talking. But we will make it fun. So we still are not done with our introductions. We will get into the next stage of our introduction. So usually in an interview we ask for what are your qualifications, right? We did a bit of this round. How many of you have mobile internet enabled? Raise your hand, please. Okay, probably other way around. How many of you are not using mobile internet on your device? 6, 7. Yeah, it's a sizable population, right? It's not a small population. So there is a sizable population who's not using internet on mobile. So, and it's not good or bad, but just that there is still a sizable population who would move to internet when they see a need for it, or when there is something which they would benefit out of it. So we will come to you as to why you don't use it. Maybe little later, not now, because there may be something which you don't see it right now, or probably you really have no need for it, which is also interesting to know, because there are reasons why you don't really need it, because probably you just need to talk to people, you don't want to do anything else. Sorry, I don't have a wireless thing, so I need to move. How many of you have a tablet? So I don't consider this phablets as tablets or phones as tablets. I'm talking about real tablets. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, not here. Yeah. But if you have it here, please keep it on the table. That's also interesting, because then we will also use it for something. So 2, 3, 4 I see. So it is still not a sizable population. But I can tell you there are tons of affordable tablets in the market, cheaper than your phones, actually cheaper than your phones, and you haven't bought it. So there could only be a reason that you don't see a need for it right now. But I can tell you, if you are consuming media like what my driver is saying to me, actually he doesn't need a phone, he needs a tablet. Because he could see the videos in a much better clarity and a much better way than trying to watch it in a Chinese phone with a small display and trying to see how the video looks like. It's the same video, it's the same data. Yeah, much better battery life. I'm not sure about the 3,000-4,000 tablets, whether they have a very good battery life. I'll show you one of them, which dies if I pull the charger out. But it does work. It's not that it doesn't work. But if you notice, it would be a segment which will open up, where people, instead of spending 3,000 on a phone, probably will spend a 3,000 on a 6-inch or a 7-inch, 6-inch, not really 5 or 7, probably a 7-inch tablet. Because the consumption there is media. Consumption is not internet, not email, it's actually media. Sorry.
I have a doubt.
Yeah.
Does Kindle, can we read comic reader in Kindle?
What do you mean by comic reader? You want to read books, right?
I want to read books, but sometimes, like they said, an iPad has that thing, but Kindle doesn't have it.
Yeah, Kindle is right now just a black and white display with text. Graphics don't look the best on a Kindle. Not really. Kindle is still 6,000-7,000 rupees for you.
But still, it's cheaper than the iPad.
Yeah, but it again depends on your need. Kindle is best if you want to read books.
Yeah, I want to read books and graphic novels.
Graphic novels may not look the best on Kindle. I mean, my experience, I've used it. So it's not the best. Probably the tablets, Android or on iOS, they give you a better experience when it comes to watching the cartoons or the comic picture books.
They are not best in sunlight. So Kindle is really good in sunlight.
Sunlight, yeah. So Kindle has its own benefits. Okay, it's probably a question. How many of you own a Kindle? You can ask any of them if they read comics on Kindle. Probably it's difficult to read comics on a Kindle. Graphic novels. Yeah, sorry. No, you started saying comics, so I used that word. Graphic novels, sorry. I don't think it's the best experience on a Kindle.
CBI format or CBC or CBI formats have some trouble with earlier Kindles. I know some friends tried and it
No, but I think
doesn't work
now, I've not tried a graphic novel on a Kindle, but I don't think it works the best from my experience. So we will come to that at the end. So we will do that. Sorry.
Might be of interest for you. I just snapped this afternoon.
Yeah.
Somebody talking on a tablet.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is a taphone. Yeah, there's a new term being called, right? Taphone is tablet which holds as a phone. Carbon calls it the taphone. Yeah, it's a phone actually, but the phone size is so big, so probably you'll hold your hand with 2 hands like this and talk. No. Sorry? No. Taphone is a 7-inch. 7-inch and you will hold it like this. Yeah, you feel bad. It's almost reaches there. Oh, you are the node user. Sorry. Sorry. You shouldn't be saying this now. Okay, but we saw that there is a, sorry. We saw that there is a sizable tablet population coming, but it would be interesting to see why you still don't look at a tablet, because most of you don't have a tablet. Why you don't use it for consumption, for email and for media consumption. Probably that is much better than many of your phones, because this could drain battery faster than the other one. So we will see. Okay, last question and then we will get on to the topic. How many years of mobile internet? How many years have you used it? Mobile internet on your mobile, not the mobile. 4 years? Anybody with 5 years? Yeah, I'll go. 10 years? Anybody with 10 years? Usually, it was there. It was there. You could still do very slow WAP connection was there. No, Edge came a little later. There was a WAP connection. You could send emails. You could go to their WAP portals and browse. Yeah, even now it is there. We will come to that. Actually, we don't see it. Even now the WAP portals are there. Okay, coming back. Internet did exist for more than 10 years, but not internet, I mean mobile internet. Sorry, just to clarify, let me be clear. I'm talking about mobile internet on your mobile. It did exist, but just that India did not consume it because there was no need for it, is what we felt. I mean, I did consume very early because of my work. I used to do a lot of emailing on it. It was not the best experience, but it was a necessity because I had to send emails on the move. So I used to use it with all my the geometry boxes you saw. We could do it. We could send, no communicators were made for it. You could use internet on that. In Europe it was already there. In India it came slowly, very expensive. And then of course the Blackberries came in and slowly the emailing came in. So we saw at least good amount of you using more than 5 years, right? Around 5 years, which is a decent, no? How many with 5 years? I think I saw many hands or very few. Okay. Yeah, 5-6 people used for more than 5 years. So it's see, that's the classification we get into. No, you should take it as a compliment. It's okay. But they are the early adopters. They are the early adopters, and that's how it works in every technology, every market. So there are some amount of early adopters, and they will actually make it popular with everybody else. And I'm quite sure, I mean, that was my next question. How many years of smartphone? I'm not talking about a feature phone, all the smartphone users. Smartphone, I mean a good display and a good, there is a big fight between what is a feature phone and what, let's call it a touch phone. I think let's go with that. Touch phone, probably very recent, right? 2 years maybe? 3 years maximum? Yeah, okay, maybe 3-4 years. But there was a sizable population of, but actually you can also call N95 a smartphone. If you know Nokia N95. Could be, but probably 2006-7 time frame is when it came. But Nokia kept talking of N95 to be a smartphone because that was their classic phone which really became popular. I mean, that was a best-selling phone for many years till iPhone came in. That was one of the best-selling phones. So if you notice, it's not that everybody in this room is new to any of these topics. You've been users, you've used it, but probably it's not apparent the way we use it, or probably we don't think too much about what we use because it's all there in our hand and we probably just consume it. So we will try to get into some of those to see, have you done some of these settings yourself? Did somebody else do it for you? How did those settings happen? How did you really use it? What is your experience? I think that would be interesting to discuss and figure out because there are many devices here, there are many experiences here, and that's how it would be very interesting to figure it out. Okay, so I did promise that I will talk a little bit about myself, introduction through my devices. So I always saw this as a digital divide. Right now, having a mobile phone, information is all more like you really need it. I don't know, maybe after some time the word survival will come this side. You need that to survive. Yeah, exactly. So just wait for one more year. Reliance Jio will come, and then broadband will be a commodity. You won't really think about internet as internet. It will be there, anywhere, everywhere, wherever you go, at speeds which you can't believe right now, unless you're using Airtel 4G, which is pretty bad as a technology. I mean, I use it, and it's whatever they claim, it doesn't really work. And I've also know because I was a technology provider at the back, so I know what it is. So it is not the best right now, but I think by the time Reliance Jio comes in, it would be like what we have as a, if you remember the Reliance monsoon hangama, that's when the mobile phones became extremely everybody bought a mobile phone when Reliance introduced the monsoon hangama. 500 rupees you can get a mobile phone. Yeah, the handset, the CDMA handset. That is where the mobile penetration actually started in India. It was a CDMA phone. There was not a GSM phone. But actually it doesn't matter, right? People wanted a phone. So it took quite some time for people to realize that that's a different technology from what you're used to because you don't have a SIM card anymore. I mean, you can have a SIM card even for CDMA, doesn't matter. But they introduced the phones which are locked phones. There was no SIM card. So you had to buy it only from them. You can't buy it from anybody else. Because it was pretty much subsidized by them in bulk, and then they were selling it on their own. AT&T.
That's like the phones, if you take a connection in the US, they would just give it for free.
That's what Reliance did, right?
Yeah.
They actually almost gave it for free. 500 was not a big money for every Indian to afford a phone, and the plans were pretty cheap. And there were two, Justin, if you're okay, I can give you two interesting anecdotes which happened at that time, why they did it. So probably you never thought why they gave it at 500. It's not that they wanted to give mobile phone to every Indian. That was not their goal. They had built a network which was untested. It was built by Nortel and Lucent. It was completely untested. They were trying technology for the first time, and they don't know what it means. And they did not have enough subscribers to be on that network for them to figure out, is it there working for scale? Can it really scale up? They had no idea on that. Second, expecting that there is going to be a big penetration, they bought a huge inventory because these phones were their own inventory. Because they were branding it as Reliance phones and they were selling it. So it was a huge inventory which they had. They already bought it. It was in India as a shipment. So they had to get rid of it as an inventory, and they have to test their network. So if you notice, internet was free for almost 1.5 years from Reliance. If any of you were early Reliance users, internet was free. Everything was free, except for call, every other thing was free. Internet, if you remember, you could go to Gaming Zone, you could go to, in their phones, you could go to internet, everything, our world was free. For nearly 1.5 years it was free. Of course, because they were testing it. They were using all of you to test it. And second was, with just one monsoon mela, they got rid of their inventory.
I hope that happens with the 4G spectrum that they switch.
I don't know their marketing plans, but
But what was the end of the story?
end of the story was Indian mobile,
No, what happened to Reliance after the monsoon hangama?
people did buy phones for quite some time with monsoon, but after a few years, it sort of died because every other operator introduced a similar plan.
It didn't die peacefully.
It,
It was a great glaring failure.
of course,
Yeah. They did break it, but they broke their bones breaking it.
yeah, of course, because, but if you look at it, I look at it slightly positively from a different angle. That sort of triggered the consumption of mobile devices in India. Because if they hadn't done that, I don't think we would have reached the 600, 700 million numbers what we have. And these numbers are usually debated whether it's 800 or 600 or 700. But whatever we are at 600, 700 million, we wouldn't have probably reached because that's the first time everybody had a mobile phone in their hand. Anybody could have a mobile phone in their hand. I think that was a good thing. From a business point of view, maybe they did it for a different reason, and that's where they got into a lot of mess after that. But as a country, probably it was good. Because other operators wouldn't have done it on their own. They wouldn't have given it off on their own. Even now, they don't have bundled phones. None of the others. Okay, so few things why I love this topic. I spent a lot of time in the last 4 years in Nokia Siemens. Whatever you talk about as mobile internet was my business. I have done it for Airtel, Vodafone, Aircel. I can't name all of them, but most of them. Whatever they use as a web gateway or the internet gateway was my business. So I used to sit there, talk with them, understand with them how to do it. Second, if you put a new SIM card into your phone, many phones will give you a setting, right? Automatically an SMS comes. That was my business. We were sitting there, figuring it out how to make you use internet. So that was my business, to understand each one of you, how can we make it simple enough so that you can use internet. And so that was, the device management was one of the products which is there with all operators in India, which we gave, which sends you an SMS, and you just open the SMS, your internet is set. And any phone, I mean, we were testing for any possible phone to ensure that it works. So that's something which I did spend quite some time there, so I understand what it means to do that. And did spend a lot of time on SMSE. If SMSE happens, if you send an SMS, in all probability I have done something in the backend if your SMS goes through in India. So from Vodafone to Bharti to all of them, SMSE was my business where we send the SMSs. So that's something which I worked on. Of course, MMSE. So everything around that, and I myself, you can see my collection of some of the gadgets here. I love them. I try all of them, so I can share some of the knowledge. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say about myself, but I want to talk more about journey of internet in each one of your experience. Did any of you use 90s internet? 1990s? Yeah? So it was dial-up?
Dial-up, yes.
Okay, so what did you use it for?
Experiencing the wonder that is internet.
Okay, what did you use it for?
To go to cartoon-related websites.
Okay. Did you have?
As in, like Scooby-Doo online.
Okay. Yahoo Chat. 90s? Did you do that?
I sent you.
90s you did not have chat.
I remember logging on to the internet just because I had the internet. Like before
Yeah, okay, that's understandable.
ICQ.
Yeah, but yeah, 90s, that was still not very popular. It was, if you're extremely geeky, like somebody said, you would probably go there. Otherwise, a lot of people wouldn't go into an ICQ. So, yeah, you did. Perfect.
Mail and news groups.
Mail, yeah. Groups was a very, actually it was very mail driven. It was mainly email driven.
Also chats, chat rooms.
Chat rooms got in towards the later half. Email is what triggered all of us to go to internet. How many of you use the Netscape Navigator? I think that's the first picture I had. That was my, yeah, Mosaic is even earlier than that, but this became more popular. Of course, probably I experienced my first internet using this. Hotmail was the more popular one, which is what you would go. Right now, probably none of us look at Microsoft Mail, but Hotmail was the hot thing at that point of time. And for email, you would go there. Even in my corporate, we did not have email. It was pretty interesting. Though I worked for Siemens at that time, a big corporate, as a company, we did not believe in internet. It sounds very sort of, I can't say that, but the point was, at that time, the adoption of internet was mainly meant for work. Transferring files, get your stuff done across different continents, but email itself was seen as not a necessity. Because within the company, you could talk to anybody with the internal email servers. You really don't need an internet for it. It was all intranet. There's tons of intranet. You could do everything inside the company, but there was always a fear that if there's an internet, the company data will go out. And to be very fair, even now many companies have that fear. I don't understand it, because if I really want to take the data out, I can take it in 100 different ways. I don't need an internet for it. Yeah, small, just, my phone is sufficient. I just have to plug in my phone, copy everything, and I can walk out. And it has anyway now 16 GB, 32 GB, 36 GB phones. I can copy probably an entire product software into one phone and walk out. I wouldn't do it, but it's possible. But there was a fear of people actually taking the work out of internet. So I remember still in 98 or something, I led all employees, we had a big strike in a way to say we need internet. And then we were given internet. And there was one there, you can go and take your appointment and say, I need half an hour for checking my email. So it was funny. When I look back, it was funny, but there was a queue of people standing there to send emails. You get what I mean? And there was actually nothing else. I mean, those mails, if I look back, I still have some of those mails archived because I have never deleted anything. Everything is archived. There was nothing meaningful there. I mean, I didn't have to send that email. But it was a fun. You just wanted to experience that email. Usually, it's all junk. It used to be junk most of the time. But people were talking about it, and people wanted to use internet in that way. But for quite some time, the till the dot-com burst happened, I think email was still the most prevalent thing, and that is the era, that 1-2 year, where a lot of services and applications came up. The end of 90s is when probably internet moved more than email into other things. As a public domain, I'm not talking about only 1% or 2%, I think it's just the population started to move towards that. My experience with 2000s was mainly trying to experience GPRS. The 2G India giving me a chance to use email on my phone. So how many of you did ever a GPRS setting on your own? Yeah, that's recent. But in the beginning, you had to actually do it. Actually, even now you need to do it in many phones. It doesn't work automatically in many phones. Yeah, you have to set. Actually, even now in some of the Android phones, you need to set. You can't do it. It doesn't. Device management doesn't work automatically. You need to do it. iPhone, you need to do it. You have to do it. They can't send a setting right now. iPhone, Apple. No, you have to enter airtelgprs.com. You need to enter www. Unless you bought the phone from them. I don't know whether they put the entry automatically. I don't think they can do that. So you'll have to enter that one word even now in iPhone. So that's where my study, when we were working with many operators to say why people don't use internet. This is one of the biggest problems. It may look very trivial. People did not know that they have to open one setting and put those 3 words www or airtelgprs.com. This was a major hindrance of people adopting MMS, people adopting internet on mobile. So it's as simple as that, but people don't do it. And that's when the whole product of this device management came in, saying, can I force you to do it? I mean, without you doing much, can I send you an SMS? Or you open an SMS and then it's all done. But now comes the next problem. How many of you have done that? Inside a SIM, you got an SMS and you did the setting. Any of you did it?
I got a question.
Yeah.
It might sound naive, but what's the difference between GPRS and GPS? I mean, GPS is global positioning.
Yes.
It's more in
GPRS is your internet. Yes.
Right. What is GPRS exactly then?
Okay. GPRS is just a packet service, which is not, just simple words, it's your internet on mobile.
All right.
GPS is just your location provider.
Okay.
So they are totally different.
Okay.
So GPRS means it's your 2G internet.
Right.
So that's all, or 2.5 internet, that's what it means.
You can have a GPS and not a GPS.
Not a GPRS. So the catch was, it was very interesting in terms of looking at millions of Indians who are downloading this. The setting would come to you, you would open it, but you would not save it. You did it? We were wondering why. Sitting behind along with one of the largest operators, they were getting this error. We were having a log of people opening it, not saving it. And we had no idea why you would do it. I would like to know, why didn't you save it? No, I was just to understand, that's all. You just thought it's spam.
No, I'm very fearful of any kind of technology. So I thought, what am I supposed to do? So I gave it to somebody so that they could.
Yeah, so one of the major issues mobile internet adoption in India had was people, everything was spoon-fed, but people wouldn't press OK. First issue was that you have to enter. I mean, that we solved, saying you don't have to enter, we will send it to you. Just press OK, that's all. But people were not doing OK. So it took several years, till last year, when the adoption with 3G coming in, is where it became, people are saying OK for it. In 2.5G, people were not saying OK for it. So setting was there, and you would not say OK. And very interestingly, as an operator, you don't get a feedback of whether you said OK or not. The only way we know is you are not using internet. But why you are not using internet, we don't know. So whether you said OK, or then also it doesn't work, or you said cancel, it doesn't work, or you ignored the message, we don't know. You understand the problem? So as a adoption of mobile internet, it was one of the major hindrances. Just the consumer behavior. It was not technology, it was not anything. It was just the way we are. Like you said, probably many were fearful, saying, should I say okay? I don't know what happens. No, not in a negative way. What I mean is, sometimes charges were also so high that you are fearful that if I say okay, they may charge me a lot for using this service. So you just don't want to say okay.
So that information bit is also, I think, important.
Yeah, they tried to, no, they tried to market. If you notice, IDEA did a lot of campaign. I think Abhishek was talking for a lot of a campaign saying you can use it, using Surgy campaign. They tried all of that, but they could not make you say okay. I mean, probably they should have made an ad saying just press okay. When I send you a setting okay, everything works. They should have done it. Probably they didn't.
The point is also you do not exactly believe Abhishek Bachchan and all that.
I'll pass it on to them.
Or Vodafone or other people for that matter.
Sure, sure.
They have a history of getting wrong calls and things like that.
Yeah. So,
Next thing we should do an It's Okay campaign.
yeah, it could be it's okay campaign. But if you notice, so GPRS was our first brush with mobile internet in the 2000s on a mobile device, because you would set up, you would make these settings. Though, like I gave you example that people didn't do it really, but it was the way to do it. And then that's the time also many of us used Bluetooth internet. Did any of you use it? What I mean by Bluetooth internet, let me clarify so that I don't make it in the wrong way. You have a device which can have internet and you use Bluetooth to share that internet with somebody else or some other device.
You use the device as a modem?
Sort of as a modem. You could, phone will work, phone will have a mobile internet, you switch on Bluetooth and make your laptop connect to that and use it. Yeah, did you use it? So, sorry, you still do it? Yeah, it's still a prevalent thing to do it. So, though the speed probably is not best, maybe you would make a Wi-Fi hotspot now from your device instead of making a Bluetooth hotspot, but it is still a way to do it. But I still remember that was one of the more popular ways of sharing your internet from your phone to my laptop, because phone still was not my primary means of consuming internet, because the devices were not the Samsungs which we have now, the bigger displays. It was all small displays. I couldn't do much beyond maybe checking an email or maybe doing something. I can't do more.
Also the fact that on the phones during that time the internet was really slow in terms of loading. When you connected with a laptop or a computer, I mean, I don't know.
No, it was just the capability of the device, that's all. Internet was the same. Yeah, the keypad was not the best. You didn't have the best form factors to consume internet. So the next is, I think this is also the time where the mobile hotspots became extremely popular. Yeah, I'm quite sure all of you use Wi-Fi now. Anybody who doesn't use Wi-Fi for anything? I'm quite sure all of us know and use Wi-Fi for something or other thing. Mostly on your laptops. Now probably all your phones are in a Wi-Fi mode. I'm quite sure you're not using GPRS here or a 3G here right now because you have Wi-Fi here. And also, 2-3 years back, the auto switch also came up. That is, you could switch from an internet connection from a 3G or a 2G connection to your Wi-Fi as you walk into a Wi-Fi zone. Initially, it was not there. 2 years back, it was not possible technically. Now, as a technology I know, I was working for some years, we are trying to do other way around. It's called Wi-Fi offload. That is, if you are on a cellular network and you walk into a room, we will offload you into a Wi-Fi network. You get what I mean? It's different from the previous example. Previous example is just your internet connection switches. Here actually your cellular connection switches to internet. So it's, yeah, it will have the same service provider. So that's another additional difference. So the Wi-Fi offload will come in the next 1 year, where you will actually seamlessly experience internet wherever you walk in. It's called Wi-Fi offload. So you have, let's say, you are talking on you're using your mobile internet on a 3G. You are probably watching a video. You walk into a hotspot. It automatically offloads you from a mobile connection to a Wi-Fi connection seamlessly without you knowing it. You'll be watching still the video. It will actually switch the connection to Wi-Fi.
You said it's a service provider.
It's service provider, either they have a tie-up or the same. So they will have a technology to do this seamless handover, you not knowing about it. Right now you can still do it, but you will know the difference, because in a sense it will cut the connection and restart it. So your videos and others will stop and then start. In this, there won't be any stop. It will stream without any buffer.
Is there any Wi-Fi offloading in India?
There are trials which has happened, but not yet. No. Aircel is a little advanced in it. They are doing something around it, but they haven't made it commercially in a big way that you would experience it everywhere. Aircel has it in many pockets. Aircel hotspot is available. So if you're on Aircel, they somehow try to do it, but the technology itself is not fully ready right now. It will take 1 year maybe.
since 2004.
Yeah, but as a commercial technology, people are still not using.
T-Mobile implemented it in America in 2003. I was in New York.
Okay, so
But
maybe it's with the 4G I'm talking about, or
4G, no.
3G and 4G. 3G should be possible.
2 and 3G. And 3G, I know almost for sure it's a solved thing because it's at the point where we can almost implement it. But 4G maybe no. I don't know.
But in India, it's still not implemented.
Okay,
And they, at least in Airtel, they're talking about the 4G handovers when they want to have it, because they want to do it. Aircel also is talking about it in a big way. Okay, so how many? Most of us probably also use the dongles, right? With laptop, I'm quite sure all of us use the CDMA dongle, the Reliance or the Tata, and they are the only two we had here. Later on, now you get the 3G dongles also, but most of us would have used one of those modems to plug it in and then work it. And was this an issue? I mean, did you have any problems using those dongles? I think it automatically installs, it's a plug and play. Most of the time you plug it, it sets up everything, you just have to say connect and it should work. It should work, it should work.
Yeah, it works fine.
It should work fine.
It just takes a bit of more.
Yeah, but I think that made internet even more popular with Indians in terms of on the move. Not on the device, but on the laptops, because people started using it on the laptops. Okay, so the last thing which is now happening is 3G, which came very, very late to India in just 2 years back, and 4G, which is just there in India now. Yeah, I couldn't get the graphic big, but you can see the experience there. 3G adoption itself, I was involved in the early stages. It was pretty slow. People did not shift to 3G. Whole of 2010, people did not shift to 3G. Even mid of 2011, people did not shift to 3G. Whether it was lack of marketing, lack of faith, or charges being high, any of these three was an issue. But I think now 3G has become pretty affordable in terms of the pricing. So the adoption of 3G is increased quite drastically. Yeah, so 3G is getting adopted quite well. How many of you use a 3G? Probably I didn't ask that question. So it's also interesting to see quite a good number of you use 3G now. Maybe a year or two back, 3G was not the most popular thing. You wouldn't switch to 3G quite easily. Also, the connection was not the best. It was not available everywhere, so I think it was a slow thing. And 4G, any of you using 4G? Airtel is the only provider right now. So actually, I use it with two. In Bangalore, it is there in Bangalore. Bangalore, Calcutta, Pune is covered, I think. There are 3-4 cities covered by Airtel right now. Chandigarh, okay. Kolkata is definitely covered. Chandigarh also, okay. Bangalore is covered, not everywhere, but it's in pockets. In most areas, it's now covered. But it doesn't give you the speeds which you hear it, and you don't feel like that anyway. It's just a picture. Okay, so very quick 5 minutes on mobile phones. We saw many different mobile phones, but I want to show you my mobile phones, which I used over many years. Probably you connect with it, and you also see why. Sorry.
Before we move on to the phone, I wanted your view on the man-made wind tunnel there, 4G.
Yeah.
The experience of rollout of new technologies kind of has fast been piling one on top of the others. I talked about WiMAX, 3G, and they kind of killed each other and died on the way. And there were some good reasons why it didn't spread. How do you see the spread of 4G in India? Where do you see the efforts going to? How do you see the strategy with that?
Okay, this is my personal view from whatever I know. 4G would get pretty popular with small and medium enterprises, where internet is not a very affordable thing right now, and then so also the connections they get is pretty slow connections. If they get the pricing right, 4G would be a very good way to reach out to the small and medium enterprises where internet is not penetrated itself very well right now. I think that's a pretty good segment to crack. On consumer side, I think India has a much bigger challenge which we haven't still cracked it very well. We've adopted a technology which is not tested anywhere. We are on SCD, TD, LDMA, which is not tested anywhere in the world. It's only China and India. We are hoping that we can gain out of India and China adopting this technology. Of course, as Nokia, Siemens and other companies, they are okay to do two technologies, but we are going to build a divide of technologies, which means the devices itself will be a problem now. In a sense, you may not get the devices, I mean, for instance, iPad 3, you cannot use it in India. It can work in Europe, it can work in US, it will not work in India, which means a new set of devices will have to come. Okay, so no, you cannot use 4G on this.
And what about this huge cost of each time there's an iteration of equipment? You said you worked on a Nokia Siemens side, exactly on that side. How do you think that will play itself India-wide? I understand the mobiles of this.
Yeah. So on the equipment side,
no, on the spread also, on the physical spread, the corridors, the mega cities, yes. How do you think, can it be an affordable proposition elsewhere?
I don't think so right now. So 4G would remain for quite some time as a urban internet. So urban India will consume it in a big way. Rural India is where probably they will shift their 3G focus on, because the investments are there, you don't have to change anything in your towers, very small investment to be done, or all whatever they've invested in the urban India, they would shift those equipment to the rural side. So the 3G internet will probably reach the rural India, but 4G will probably stay as a metros and city grade A sort of cities. It will not go into the rural area.
One more question. Wouldn't the introduction of 4G sort of, because 2G is very widely used right now because it's everywhere basically. 3G is not everywhere right now.
Yeah.
So it's still not very good. But now 4G is also coming in, so I'm thinking 3G becomes a little obsolete.
Not really. So that's what I was trying to explain. 4G license in India, except Reliance, Bharti few licenses, and Aircel 2 circles, nobody else has a license. BSNL, of course, as a government entity has licenses. I'm talking about the private players. BSNL, MTNL anyway have the license. So just that you asked that question, and for everybody's sake, 4G is just the faster internet, that's it. But the way it gets delivered to you is a different technology than what 2G, 3G is. So there is a need for a totally different devices, totally different infrastructure on the operator side for you to get that experience. So that will be investment on their side. And the reason I said some equipment will not work in India is there are two competing technologies like CDMA and GSM you heard. So also in 4G world there are two competing, actually there are three competing technologies, not two. If I include WiMAX also into it, WiMAX is sort of getting killed, but WiMAX is also a competitor. So there are three technologies, and India is trying to adopt one of the technologies which nobody else in the world is adopted yet. No, it's just the patents, the amount of money, royalty you will have to pay for those patents. You would rather have a technology which is not patented by any of the Ericssons and Nokia Siemenses.
Regular people will be in such a big problem because usually they try to get their equipment from, say, the
Yeah,
United
so you're
States.
depending on the Chinese market, because Chinese market is adopting the same technology. So the bet India is taking is that the devices will come from China.
It's very risky.
So it's called 4G LTE. No, what I mean is there is a TD, time division technology, and there is a frequency division technology. So India is trying to adopt a time division technology. The rest of the world is adopting a frequency division technology. So there are two different technologies. So I'm trying to not make it hardcore technical, but there are two different technologies. And this device will not work on this technology. So that's why if we have an iPad 3, it is a 4G capable, it will work only in the US and the European markets. It will not work in India.
You should buy iPad 3 here.
If 4G, you want to use 4G here, you should not buy the
I
iPad 3.
keep going to villages, so 4G won't work.
4G won't work.
Yeah.
With iPad, it won't work.
Okay.
So you need to have a new device for Indian 4G.
So iPad 2 is safe.
None of the iPads will work. No, they will work for 3G. They will not have the 4G. That's our difference.
What if you're in Bangalore, you buy the...
No, the technology which will be used in India will not be supporting this device, compatible with this.
It will not be a SIM that you can cut out?
No, not about SIM.
That's
Yeah, it's creating a new demand, new market. It's a bet. We are betting on China being able to develop the devices, we being able to consume the devices. So, yeah, but anyway, Chinese will also make some money in this exercise. But we are hoping that two economies can benefit out of it.
So first the Chinese will win.
Yeah, first the Chinese will make money, exactly. So let me quickly move. So I started my mobile journey with a big box on the left side. That was my first mobile. It was called Siemens S4. It was a big rock, this big. I couldn't put it in my pocket. It used to be in the bag because I can't keep it in my pocket. It was big rock.
This is a brick.
It was a brick. It was really a brick. With an antenna, exactly. But it used to work. For a phone call, it was beautiful. But the phone was very expensive. I mean, the calls used to be 20 rupees per minute. If you notice, it was in 90s. But it was one way to use it. If I wanted to use it, it was there. So I did use for some years and then switched to another beautiful device which I have in my hand here. Oh no, that I couldn't get it. That second device is called C35. That was already internet capable. And that was my first brush with internet with that. I could use WAP on that. So we were trying to use WAP and see if something can open up. SMS based email. Yeah, it was fun to use. No, but of course it was simple emails. It was nothing else you could do. The next was this one. I'm only showing my devices, but it also shows you the evolution of how the devices were coming out. This was in 2000 earlys. So this was called S45. Yeah, S45. This was completely internet compatible. This was European model, and there it was already GPRS was available. I could do everything with this, except that the display was also pretty nice. It was an orange display, but not a LCD display. It was more. I could browse. I could open some piece of internet if I want. I could do it with this. Then of course I don't have that device. There was an HTC Windows device which I used for a few years, which was also pretty nice. And that is the first time where I was completely using Indian internet on mobile for email, and it was working quite well. It was slow, but it used to work very well. So I think that was mid 2005, sometime 2004-05 maybe, and it was working quite well. And that was also the time we were testing out some applications on Windows using internet. None of them worked, but that was the time we could experiment some of those. Then came my series of communicators. Nokia was pretty, this is a very good device, I can tell you. I used it, I loved this device. It was not the best in terms of touch or anything, but in terms of usability, it was as good as my computer in terms of what I could do, but I could only do email on this. And browsing was okay, but I couldn't browse much. I couldn't see videos very well. Yeah, it's not the best experience, but on those years, it was a very good experience because you did not have other devices which could do this. So Nokia had two communicators. This is the smaller communicator. There's a bigger cousin which was bigger than this. It was 93. This is 9300. That was 9500. So this was a good way to consume internet in mid 2000s. It was a pretty good way to consume internet on mobile. Then came, of course, its superior cousins. There was a E90. I couldn't get that. I have that phone also, but that was not a good model. It died very fast. And then we had the so-called competitor for iPhone. This was Nokia's competition for iPhone when iPhone was launched. This was N97. It was a flop. It was buggy. It didn't do what it was expected to do. But hardware-wise, it's a beautiful phone. It still works. I can still use it. It works very well. But multimedia experience was good. Everything was good. But it was experience-wise, iPhone set a standard which this couldn't match up to. So this iPhone killed this device. Otherwise, probably it would have been successful. Probably, I don't know. Sorry?
All have Apple.
Yeah, so maybe we saw a new set of devices which killed this breed of devices. I still have some of those other Nokia popular devices, which I'm quite sure some of you had. I think E63, E61 I saw. This was this breed. So it was a pretty popular business phone. It was used, it is getting used even now. It's still used. It's a very popular phone. N series are also pretty good. This is the two cousins, the same family. One was a little lower version and one was a little higher version. It was a good email phone, pretty good, competing with BlackBerry in that segment. And this is the era where most people in the corporate world would be using internet. This was 3-4 years back. Everybody started using internet for email in a business environment, in an office environment, in India at least. And I think there's a huge load on corporate use of internet. was also, of course, a Nokia N8, which came in, I think this is N8, yeah, this is N8. N8 which came, which is actually a pretty good phone, good camera, but I think by that time iPhone had fully killed this series of phones. But it's a good hardware, good piece of hardware. Software is pretty bad, crappy, it doesn't work very well, but otherwise it's a good phone. This is Symbian, yeah, Anna and then Bele.
But the iPhone has never quite taken off in India, right? So how did...
iPhone, it did not take off in India, but in India, people were not consuming these devices in a big way. So the market for these devices were Europe and US. So it did not get its market everywhere else. In India, it did sell, but I think the market in India for these devices were very small. So on the whole, Nokia couldn't survive with these models. And later on, I've been using iPhone, and I can only tell you my experience with iPhone has been best, and I love it, and I use it. I use it almost as my second hand. Everything happens around it. And I think there are quite a few Android phones which also gives you a similar experience if you have some of those. So in a way, our life is being taken over by these devices now. So that was so much on just experiencing our journey with internet and mobile devices. I just want to get into little serious, not fully serious, but we will talk about what is mobile internet and why do we need mobile internet. So like we discussed a few minutes back, internet is now sort of ubiquitous. I mean, you don't even think about it as an internet. I'm quite sure most of you are not thinking about it whether I have internet or not have internet. It's expected that you have it, or it's there in your phone, or you've activated it. Why do you think we need it? What's your need? What's your predominant use of mobile internet? Social networking, chatting, email, reading, news, games, yeah, gaming, but you don't need internet for it. No, I'm just asking.
Well, you need it if you want to compete with others.
Exactly. So it comes back in the social thing. It becomes more social. Gaming is no longer a personal experience because you want to compete with somebody, which you could do with internet.
Maps and
Maps.
in Europe, like when the next train, the next bus, the next metro is going, like you want to
All the information. Your life revolves around it. You can get it.
Transportation you need. Navigation.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. Navigation.
Working while traveling and working from home.
Working from home. Yeah. Anybody else? What else do you use it for? Backup for laptop internet, or as the primary source of internet? Sometimes.
Okay, reading.
Sorry?
No, it's downloading apps.
Yeah, but apps, you need apps for something else.
Yeah, but just the downloading.
Downloading part,
just,
yeah.
Just that function.
Yeah, so to get your apps. So if you notice, sorry? Video chat. Yeah, there are so many tools now. WhatsApp, FaceTime. If you're an iPhone user, you will get into FaceTime. WhatsApp is across all platforms. So if you notice, suddenly we have found a need for using internet. Didn't we have this need 2-3 years back or 5 years back? It's the same socialness, right? You still wanted to talk to your friend.
But at that point of time, not every second person had a mobile internet in their phone. So
But they had phone.
they had a phone, but they didn't have internet. So the kind of interaction was more physical and present.
So are we doing the right thing?
Technically, no. It's just
I'm coming to you.
the physicality.
Yeah, because you don't have mobile internet. So they're all saying they need it for all of these.
I can do that in my laptop,
Yes.
but I don't want to have a mobile network thing all the time because I'm very addicted, first point. Second point, I know the screen, no matter how big, even if it's an iPhone, it would just strain me. And then I would not remember stuff that I'm supposed to remember, like the basic things, or just take my phone and start doing that.
But I have
Very few.
Do you get her point? I think I've heard this argument from many. As a bad user of devices, I agree with you. Because my life probably is taken over by these devices than having my own time. Actually, I spend more time with those devices than being with myself.
I know some people, they don't use mobile. They don't have a, they have landline.
Yeah.
They reside in yeah, they are writing in the newspaper.
No, but we are making a serious point here, if you notice. I mean, though I love this, but as a topic, something which I also discuss with many people is that these devices have sort of taken over our life in a way, and we think it is cool to do all what we talked about, but probably we are missing a lot more in our life by doing all these things. We're getting some things, but we're going to miss a lot of things, which otherwise we would have done. Sure. You agree with that? Yes.
Because I find chatting with somebody more interesting than actually meeting.
Yeah. So you guess the mood of the say here. So at the end of this session, what we will do is we'll take all the smartphones, like Gandhi did. We will just put into a fire, and all of us will walk out. Is that fine? Is that okay? Because all of you are saying we don't. You agree with my point, right? That there's something missing. So we will do it. We'll put a fire here. If the venue agrees, we'll put one and put all the phones in. Yes. Sorry. I moved on.
I find it really difficult. For example, if I have to look up something, or if I'm traveling in an auto, like I have to look up directions, I like Google. At that point, I really need internet.
Okay.
Yeah, but sometimes I have to compromise.
Yeah. So you still miss the navigation part.
Yes, but I don't want, I think this life is better. That's what I made it.
Okay.
I made a choice.
You made a choice. It's good. You want to say something?
What? I am used to it. I love it.
Sir, I am coming to you.
I already spent about 12 to 14 hours a day on my laptop.
Probably can you hear him? Yeah.
I already spend 12 to 14 hours on my laptop every day.
Okay.
I don't think I should spend more time on any other.
Yeah. I'm quite sure all of people here spend same amount of time on laptop. So you heard what he's saying.
12 to 14 hours.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyone competing with me?
But I agree with you.
I
So
don't think I should spend any more time on any devices.
yeah.
Everybody in the family uses a laptop, uses the iPhone, uses the iPad. Everybody does it except me. Everybody. So I'm not swayed by what they do.
Absolutely. So you heard his point. It's also probably interesting. I can tell you, my son stops talking to me. He sends me a FaceTime message every time saying, "Dad, can I talk to you?" He's not very old. He's just 8-year-old. So I had to now pull the device away from him, saying, "No, you need to talk to me. You can't talk while chatting." Yeah, exactly. I should do that. So it's too much in that way. But from a different angle, of course, there is a lot of need which is there.
But let's think, is there something wrong with the technology or something wrong with us?
There is nothing wrong with the technology. It's with us. The way we use the technology, because technology is there. It's like a road. It's like an infrastructure.
Great help, yeah.
Yeah, it's left to us to use the way we want to use it.
I think we are driving at 150 kilometers per hour.
Yeah. No, because I think we can do a lot more than what we could do earlier. It just makes us good that we can do a lot more. Yes.
I was always addictive. Like, you start thinking with Ninja all the time.
But you don't need a phone for it.
No, I'm saying like, you don't need internet. It's in your hands all the time. You're bored, you're not interested. You're like,
I would rather say we change with
You could read a book,
technology we have.
graphic novel. No, just trying that.
I think Vicky is looking for you to solve the dilemma of should I buy it or should I not buy it?
Maybe then we will convince her to buy one.
no, I want to buy an iPad or Kindle, but I can't ask my parents after this.
Okay.
My iPad too.
Sorry.
No, I rather think we change with the technology we have.
Okay.
So, generally if I'm using this, I would be, limited to what this phone is providing me at that point. But if I have an iPhone, I'd get used to that and then
Okay.
it's so much more.
Good point. You're moving to my second topic there, which is the means of consumption. Because we now have many devices, we have found many different ways to consume the same thing. Like I said, I showed you the journey of mobile phones. If I had a phone which was a 5-year-old phone, I can't do what I can do right now. So my addiction to some of those were not existing. Though I had internet, I had a mobile, I didn't have those addictions.
You can put it in another manner.
Sure.
Some of the people in US, they work on the theories to develop the technology development. And they call it as, they explain it very nicely. Initially, human beings develop the technology and control the behavior of the technology. Now the technologies control the behavior of the human being.
Yeah, In a way, yes, that is true. We are now trying to talk more like Terminator series. No, but I take your point.
I think
Sorry.
it's in a way somehow influenced by the way it's advertised also, I think. So if somebody buys a smartphone, it is expected that it has internet and people should use it. I mean, if I have a note and if it doesn't have internet, it would seem dummy. It would be like, okay.
But you don't have to buy a note.
No, if I'm saying if somebody buys a smartphone, then it is expected that it should have internet. Without that, it's really not.
So that's the point which comes into consumption. Because now you have devices to consume that, to play games, to play whatever we talked about. So we sort of get into it. I mean, we need it now. And third, of course, is that now internet is available everywhere. Probably a few years back, maybe a decade back, it was not there everywhere. I mean, the ease with which you can consume it, it's not the best. See, the moment I walked into this hall, I asked, can I get a Wi-Fi password? Because I may show a video. But maybe 5-6 years back when I go to a presentation, I wouldn't ask for this question. Because I know internet may not be available. Because it was probably a Ethernet, I have to get a user ID password, a lot of work to do to get access, I wouldn't think of it. I would look for alternate ways to show the video. I would have probably copied the video with me. Effect is the same, right? I can still show you the video. But now I assume that it's available here. I don't download, I can use YouTube for it. So, these are the three things which from my angle really makes internet addictive to us. But I want to get into each one of them. We will spend few minutes on each one of them because each one has its own peculiarities in terms of how we do things. Okay, so this is a graph I picked up from one of the articles which very nicely explains whatever we talked right now in a very nice graphical way. If you look at the evolution from 95 to 2015, I'll see if I can get a pointer. Pointer is here. So if you look at the stuff here, 95, we're talking about mostly the dial-up connections and the sort of services we had around the world. I'm not talking about India only. It's around the world. We're talking about Lycos. Do you remember using Lycos? Yeah, I have also used Lycos, so it just feels nice to remember that. If you remember, Expedia was there at that time, but not too much, not too many services also existing. That's when the dot-com boom happened. You suddenly had Napster to Amazon coming up, lots and lots of services. The content started to come up, CNN went online, a lot of guys online content. Till then we never thought of news online, right? And when these guys came in, news online is now assumed that you will have news online. That's the era of Hotmail, chat coming up, and the internet moved to WAP. You could do a lot of things on WAP right now, not just on dial-up connection. So which means you had much faster connection than this, much easier connection in terms of what you can do. Then came the broadband thing, also the XPs and the Macs, the iPod coming up first, Skype coming up, Gmail coming up, Google. So if you notice, this is the era where the consumption started to increase again after the boom. But this time the consumption is not purely by just having some websites, but here now the consumption starts to take over our life in a way because we move towards the Web 2.0 where the socialness comes in, Skype brings in the talking, Gmail brings in the way you can consume certain things. Of course, later half of nearly 2010s, file sharing like Dropbox comes in. Lot of services come, which is a peak, which makes a shift in the way we behave. I hope you're getting what I'm saying. So, the need also starts coming in because there is a means to deliver it to you and people are trying to solve more and more of these problems. Not that none of these problems existed before, all of them existed before. Each one of them made a new attempt to solve it and solve it using internet in a way. So then now we have much, let's say 3G is done, ADSL is done, now the 4G is coming up. How many of you use internet on TV? Internet on TV. 1, 2. So you plug it in and what do you do on that? Apple TV. Apple TV is slightly different. Which TV?
That is Sony something.
And what do you do with that?
I Skype once.
Yeah, because Apple TV allows you to consume the videos and stuff. Some of the TVs allow you to do chat, email, everything on.
So there's a TED talk, it's a very nice talk, you should watch it. It's a very nice experiment where, probably for all of you know it, then I won't mention it. So probably some of you don't know, maybe I'll mention a few words on it. What he did was, he took a very, very simple, affordable computer into a slum area, created a hole in one wall, plugged the computer there with a simple internet connection, just left it. He walked away, everybody walked away. They let the kids in that area to come and explore. Nothing was taught to them, nothing was told to them. They just don't know anything. It was just left in the wall. Kids were very curious. They started to come. Sorry? I think this was a Windows. So they just left it. And there were some problems put there and some stuff was kept there, but nobody touched it. After some weeks, he went back and realized that all the kids in that area were comfortable operating the computer, were comfortable using everything on the computer, and they had no formal education, they had nothing which they knew about computers. So his theory was, we have the ability to learn in ourselves, there is nothing which stops from a society to say only these people can use the device and others can't. So I think it's run for many years. This is one of the experiments which he did. I think it's now pretty popular. It's been used in Africa, and now he's trying to use people in UK trying to interact with kids in a slum in India, all through this means, and it's working beautifully. And the other use of technology is with Arvind came.
On devices, we have moved on from small devices to laptops to big TVs we talked about. Of course, another area where internet is getting consumed in a big way is also in gaming consoles. I think we talked here in terms of I want to play with my friend. So that need is also leading to a lot of these devices hooking onto internet and getting used, consumed in a big way. The new thing which is going on right now, which probably we will all see, how many of you have an Android watch? Anyone has an Android watch? It's pretty old. Yeah, see, he wanted to buy, I also wanted to buy, I stopped myself from buying it. I'm waiting for an Apple Watch.
Like you would charge every 8 hours. That is insane.
That's the same thing you do with your phone in a way.
I wouldn't want to do that.
No, but I didn't want an Android watch, so that's my view. So, I mean, just as a concept, watch is a topic which is a hot topic among all device guys. Your watch will be taken over as a mobile pretty soon. And it's not new. The Android watch is already a year old or a year and a half old. It's not a new concept. And it's expected that Apple will announce it tomorrow. An Apple Watch. It's expected. So I don't know whether they will do it. But the point right now is all these devices are moving away from your big form, small form, all forms to becoming a wearable form. Can I have a wearable computing device, a wearable mobile device on which an internet can be enabled? So watch is the first one people are touching about. So watch would be the first thing which probably we will all change after some time. So maybe start, rather than looking at your phone, maybe you will start looking like this. Looking for emails here and looking, I don't know what we will look, but it's going to be something we will start consuming. Yeah, maybe we will start talking like this. Oh, that's next step. That's holographic effect. The projectors are already there anyway. The mobile projectors are already available. So that's, there's Spice phones and there are quite some few phones which allow you to do that. In fact, it's very interesting. I can just share a small thing. In 2003, in Siemens we had the phone division still. And I was part of the idea for patents team. I mean, I was part of the patent evaluation team, internal team, which used to decide on whether to patent the idea or not patent the idea. One of the crazy ideas which came in by one of the employees was that I want to have a holographic phone. A sort of, one was holographic, the second idea was projectable phone. It was a sort of, lot of debate saying should we put our money on it, patent it. Finally we said no, it's not worth it. At that time, I mean, hindsight probably it was a very, very bad decision. We could have patented it, we could have filed for a patent. We said no, nobody is going to use phone as a projector. The technology in those years did not allow us to think about those problems. But 3-4 years down the line, in a Hanover CeBIT, we saw the first demo from a competitor. So it was a pretty bad miss because it could have been patented because there was somebody who was talking about it. So when you say spike it sort of a thing, I don't want to say no now. Because I always say probably it's possible. Probably it will happen in 2 years. Maybe we never know. So wearable computing is getting pretty big. The best of them which will happen now, I wanted to keep it for the last, is the Google Glass. Whether you like it, not like it, privacy, no privacy, I'm quite sure all of you will have opinions on it, but I'm quite sure it will come into mainstream pretty soon, in some way or the other way. Maybe they will minimize some things, I don't know what they will do, but that is something which will come in the next 1 or 2 years. It's still a wearable computer, a wearable mobile phone. It's available, but you can't buy it right now. It's just a beta right now, and you can order it and then get it a little later. But wearable computing in terms of watches, you might know about the Nike Fuel Band, Jawbone bands. These are some of the new things which are coming on. You can wear a fuel band, it's like a watch. Just put it on your hand, walk everywhere. It tells you how much calories you burned every day, how much did you sleep, how much did you walk, what did you do. You just have to feed in something about what food you ate. It will tell you calories burnt in a day, whether your exercise was sufficient, not sufficient, all onto your iPhone or into an Android phone. It will give you a chart of your daily exercise rate, your burn rate, your calories, everything. It will give you a chart day by day. And it's already 1.5-year-old concept, and it's available in market for quite some time. And there are competitors. There's a big market now. There are 4 players in that market. Jawbone and Nike compete in a big way. Okay, so this is something which I am very passionate about, and it's a concept which I thought I should introduce you to. It's called Internet of Things. Not Internet of People, but Internet of Things. But of course, people is a byproduct. We are still involved in it. But it's going to be something which mobile internet will become part of everything which is around you. Not with you, but everything which is around you. So things will start coming in terms of all your vehicles, monitoring, everything will have an embedded mobile internet into anything and everything what you see around you. So it has application in agriculture, energy. I know of already some solutions which are getting used in energy. Simplest is energy meter, which is not very complicated, where your energy meter becomes wireless, so that whatever you consume as an electricity, it will get transmitted wirelessly as a meter reading, and it comes to your internet. On your phone you can watch what is your meter reading. So that's something which is happening already. It is not something new. Parking meters are already happening very easily, which is all your consumption still, but it's not with you, it's outside you. And more important which is happening is in the industrial automation, where people are trying to see how to reduce the consumption of electricity by using smart internet there, in terms of getting data from different data points and trying to handle it. Security and surveillance, the building management, telemedicine, smart homes. I talked about the watch. It will get into your shoes, it will get into your wallet, it will tell you whether you have money or not in your wallet, maybe after some time. I mean, Google Wallet is already there on your phone, but probably it will also replace your real wallet. And the M2M is the wireless sensor networks. Okay, so we looked at why we need it, we looked at how we consume it. Now most important is you need to get the internet somewhere. When you are there on the road, sitting here, you need to get the internet. There are many means by which you can get it. I've just shown some of those so that we can spend some time. This is probably all of you know the towers lying around all the places, which gives you your 2G, 3G, 4G, all of these. So these towers placed everywhere around the place, and you get it. Okay, it's not coming out very clear. What I wanted to show here is you end up getting an internet into a premise through via Ethernet, or through a dial-up, whichever way you get it, and then most people now have a Wi-Fi routers in the home. I'm quite sure all of you have a Wi-Fi router at home, or good amount of you will have a Wi-Fi router at home, because you now have flexibility of internet within your home, right? Most of us try to do it now, because get your internet connection, plug it into a router, and it gives you internet within your home seamlessly. You can carry your phone anywhere you want, laptop anywhere you want, it will still work. And we talked about Bluetooth, using Bluetooth for connectivity, we talked about it already. So also now there is another way of making phones as a wireless hotspot. Have you tried it, any of you? Yeah. So I think that's pretty much drains your battery, but it's a good way to share your internet to people around you. Tata came with that good idea of giving this personal Wi-Fi hub. Any of you bought it? It's a pretty good device. So it gives you a 3G hub. You put the normal 3G SIM card. It acts as a Wi-Fi router for 4 or 5 people in that vicinity. It acts as a mini Wi-Fi hub. Vodafone also has it? Okay. Tata was the first one who introduced it. And I think it was pretty popular. Many people bought that device. This is also 3G one. This is also 3G one. So I want to move to a little complicated picture. We won't get into details of it. What I wanted to say is, wherever you are in your city life, internet gets delivered to you in different ways. So if you are on the move or in your home, cellular BTS or the cellular way, the 2G, 3G, 4G way is one way you would get your internet. You would have it. You could also have a connection via fixed line, DSL connection, and you can get it. That's here, DSLAM. Sometimes you get a CDMA access points. You will get a WiMAX. We talked about WiMAX. Enterprises use a lot of carrier Ethernet and other things. Cheap on, I will not get into it. But WiMAX, cellular, DSL, ADSL, all of that, there are different means by which you would get via cable connection, or whether it's there is also cable over internet. You will also get if you have a cable connection at home. If you use Hathway, you can get internet on Hathway. It's possible. So there are various means by which you can get internet into your devices. So does it sound very complicated? No? Actually using internet now has become as good as just do it blindfolded. Because I'm quite sure all of you are using it now without even thinking about it. Because nobody is going to tell you anything about how to use it. I use this analogy for people who don't know the technology to say it's as good as tuning into a radio. Because all you have is, there is somebody broadcasting internet around you, whether it's a Wi-Fi, whether it's a cellular, you don't even see it. All you need to do is like a radio, open your phone, say scan. It will scan for 2 minutes and it will tell you there are 3 channels available. Look at it that way. Same thing with radio, right? When you're tuning in, it tells you there are 4 channels available. You choose one of the channel. In radio, only thing you don't do is you don't enter a password. Here, most people would put a password, you need to enter a password. If you enter a password, you're hooked on, you get your data. So I think it's getting as simple as that in terms of the user experience. With the newer phones which we have, probably just a button toggle 3G on off. I think iPhone has that, even Android phones have it, you just have to do on off, that's it, nothing else. So the devices, the technology is becoming so simple that you don't need to do anything. So whatever I explain in terms of technologies, you don't need to know to use internet. All you need to do is just one button, on off, and you start to use it. I think that's how it will go. I just listed down all possible ways by which you can connect in India right now, but I think we talked about all of them. Okay, so this is how you make your setting. So let's try. Can you all open your phones and see what settings you have? I won't tell you how to look at it. If you don't, now we get into how to look at it. So I want to know what is your setting on the phone. And don't look at this. This table is just a standard table. What is your APN setting on your phone? I want to know whether you know where to find it. That's all I'm asking. In your own phones, just let me know what is your APN setting. Okay. Whoever found it, just keep quiet for a minute. I want to know who could not find it. I want to see, then we can do a small hands-on. Could you find it? Okay, battery low, no problem. Good excuse, but it's okay. No, I'm just joking. No, you don't have, sorry. But can you find the setting? Where is the setting?
I know the setting.
Okay, you know the setting. APN. It's access point name. You got it? No, I want to know who didn't get it. You didn't get it. I was expecting one. You want to find out where it is?
Yes, of course.
Okay, we have a Nokia phone here. Yeah? Anybody who got it on a Nokia phone? So did you find your setting? Not yet, we will come there. Anybody else with a Nokia phone who found their setting? Yeah, tell me where the setting is. No, tell me from your phone, how to reach there. We will let her do it herself. I don't want to show it. Hold on. Can you reach your tools? Settings, go to settings. Go down. Connectivity, come down, packet data, no, go to packet data, packet data settings, yeah, that's the one. So you edit it, you will see the details. Okay, back, edit active access point, yeah, here you have. So that's where your setting is. Yeah, you put it on automatic, so I think you have made the setting. I'm little unfamiliar with BlackBerry settings, so this is a setting. Probably you can edit it and you will be able to find it here. So all of you found it? Yeah? Anybody who didn't find it? You didn't find it?
My APN is not www, it's automatically iPhone and it's working.
This is Vodafone, is it?
Yeah. That's probably why I didn't have to send it.
Did you buy it from them?
No, the phone I bought from the US.
Okay.
I just put the card in it and it started working.
I'll find out because typically this is iPhone 5, right?
Yeah. It should say www. I remember
It's www usually.
I did that in my phone.
Okay. I'll figure it out because my setting I know is www.
That's what I know also.
Exactly. So you found yours. It would be there. Go to tools or settings, data, come down. I can't see. Connectivity, packet data settings, edit active access point. Do you have internet connect activated? Okay. So then you can select this. Yeah. No, okay. Back. No, next one. One down. No, it looks like probably it is not set properly. Back. That's where you will find it because that's where it was. It will be here. The setting would come here. So anybody else who wants to see their access point? This is iPhone. Oh, this is easy. Cellular. iPhone is as simple as this. And then there is something called cellular data network. You open here, it's set here. Okay? Is this fine? So I also see that Vodafone, the setting is iPhone, not www. In his phone also. It used to be. Exactly. This is your APN. No, it just means that is the way you give your user ID, you give your authentication to the internet. Only if this is there you can connect to the internet. If it is not there you cannot connect. So is it fine? So this is some standard settings available. If you put it into your phone, it should work depending on which operator you are in. And this is usually in the feature phones. Like I said, the technology right now is you don't have to know this. The SMS will come, you press OK, don't fear, just say OK, it will make the setting. Okay, so some of you have Airtel, right? You saw there are two access points, Airtel Live and Mobile Office. Or Vodafone has Vodafone Live and I think Vodafone Mobile. I think that's the two settings I remember. Why two? So why do two different? You're right, bang on. Yeah, so why WAP, why GPR is different? Charges are also different, why? You want internet, right? You want internet. Why? No, okay, let me just mention. So, yeah, there are two different ways of accessing internet with a mobile operator. WAP is you actually land upon Airtel's internet portal. So when you go there, when you look at this 1 rupee video, the MMS, the video downloads, the streaming, which is all on their server. So you are actually accessing internet through them. So they become the gatekeeper. So that's why it's the WAP. And WAP is the preferred means for older phones. The mobile offices, they don't care about what you do. They directly put you on to the internet. So most of us would be on mobile office because we know what to do with it. But in the lower end packages what they offer, they usually offer the WAP packages because consumption there is only about videos and songs and everything which is actually on their portal.
No, but even if today you call up Airtel and ask them that I have a Nokia phone, I need internet, they will tell you Airtel Life first.
Yeah, because they make money, right? It's their content. If you go here, you are only paying them money for the bandwidth. But if you go to WAP, you are not only paying them for the bandwidth, you are also paying money for the content. Because the video you download, you are paying them. You don't know that, right? You are gullible. I mean, they have told you use it. As a normal user, you will go, you will probably stream one video. They will deduct some 2 rupees from your money.
Like SMS, so many jokes in my life, in my childhood, it's not funny.
Yeah, but for new users, it is funny. There are so many new people coming onto the network. So there are 2 different settings, not one. One which you go through the operator, one you go directly onto the internet. Yeah.
Do they use different protocols or same protocol?
From a way you connect to the internet, there is no difference. But once you reach Airtel, the way it is handled is different. So interestingly, this is what my business was. So I used to do it technology-wise to give it to them. So one was a WAP gateway, one was a browsing gateway. So they would split the internet traffic. When you come to the operator, they will send you this way or this way. This side is all internal content. This side is you get out.
So which one?
Airtel Live is most of the content is inside Airtel. Okay, so we looked at Android. I think you figured out how to make your APN settings. You looked at iPhone. We looked at that. So this has become even more easier, the internet dongle. Most of us just plug it in, it installs the software on its own, connect, and it works fine. Yeah. No, dongle you don't have to do anything. It's plug and play. Usually it comes with the settings because it's bought by them, right? Phones you don't buy from the operator, so they don't know to put the setting. Because you can buy your phone from the shop, but dongle you have to buy it. We are buying it from them, so they make all the settings and give it to you.
I think I am talking about the data cards.
I am talking about the data card. So data card is because you buy it from.
This is from MTS.
Yes.
And Vodafone and.
Yeah, everybody has it.
You buy it from Micromax or.
Okay, you are saying from that angle. Yeah, when you put a SIM there.
Not put any APN. Automatically it detects. Why is the one?
It would be the same device management settings usually. They would push the device management. I mean, the settings would come automatically to the dongle, and it because it's a device now, it saves itself. You don't need a user to click on it to save it. Okay, so this is pretty much what I want to talk about the internet and the mobile internet. We did that, but I want to quickly move to the devices part. Okay, so now the question is, we saw mobile devices, we saw internet, we saw the need, we saw how to consume it, we saw the access points, all that sort of we discussed. Now comes the point of the devices which are coming out in India, which are affordable to people, and how are they getting used. How many of you, I think with tablets, I see only an iPad here. How many of you have a non-iPad device? Samsung Galaxy? No Samsung? Yeah, tablet. Yeah, Samsung? Non-Samsung. Okay, which one is that? Okay, so but it works well? Okay, that's what I was coming to. So I wanted to open up some of those tablets. Yeah, it will give you good experience. So it's nothing is wrong in that. Some of the phones which are best-selling phones in India, which are sub 4,000 smartphones, Android devices. So you can see that it ranges from 2,500 to less than 4,000 rupees. You will actually get a proper Android device. Of course, Carbon probably a known thing. Asha is not Android, Asha is their own. But if you notice, all of them are internet capable, all of them are multimedia capable. They may not have a retina display, but they will definitely have a proper display. So which means at 3 to 4,000 rupees, now everybody can afford a consumption device which can do everything what we talked about. Frankly, I don't know, but I think it should be in a safe zone because I don't think they're doing anything different from what the other phones are doing, so they should be okay. Because many of them are OEMs which are manufactured, they just label it differently and put it. It's the same guy probably who's doing the Samsung phone or probably doing, it's all the Taiwanese guys who do this and they just label it differently. But I don't know the ratings, frankly. When you look at tablets we always assume like iPad it's pretty expensive, but you'll also get a pretty affordable tablet at 4 to 5,000 rupees. How many of you have seen an Akash tablet? Have you used it? Have you used it? Used it? How good is it? You want to see one? This is the Akash. Disclaimer, it doesn't work. In a sense, I have put one for charging, but just to give a disclaimer, this is not the commercial release of Ubislate. I used to work with them, so this is a beta version of Ubislate, first version. Now they are in the third version, so I think they have a much better device, but it will boot. You can experience one of them. This is not booting up for some reason. So this is the first version of Akash, which works quite well, no problem. It's an Android device, it boots up. You can do quite some things. There is no camera though, there is no multimedia, but for students I think it's quite okay. So if it boots up, I will pass it on, you can have a look. But the interesting thing is, what do you think is the price of this device? For a government subsidized rate is around 1,500, but in market you can buy it at 3,999. Not this device, this is the first version, beta version.
Now it's being improved at IIT.
It's much better, it's much better device, yeah. Exactly. So even the last one which is released is in a much better shape. It's as good as any other tablet. This looks a little primitive in terms of how it looks. Okay, there is no screen here because I said it's a beta version, there is no screen. It's just to demonstrate and see it. You can't use it for consumption. It's plastic here, so it won't look all the best. So if you want to have a look, maybe you can pass it on. This is the Akash tablet. No, this is not booting up, but you can have a look at it. No, this one, there is another SIM. But this is Wi-Fi, but there is a version now where you can insert a SIM. And this is another one. This is BSNL PentaTab. This is a ta phone maybe, a tablet phone. It works as a phone also. BSNL. This is quite okay. This is perfect. This works very well. No, it's very good phone, a very good tablet, very good camera. It has a good camera on the back. No, it's PentaTab. It's a company called Penta, but BSNL brands it and sells it. No, this is all proper capacitive touch. Yeah, of course, please. This has a range from 6,000 to 12,000. I think they have multiple version. The 3G version is around 10. This is around 9 or 10. Yeah, so we will come to that. That's the thing which these devices are doing now in India in terms of what can happen. Of course, I'm quite sure all of you have an iPad or touched an iPad. There is a huge difference between the experience on this and the lower end devices, but actually it doesn't matter when it comes to using for some of the users, because you can consume most of the stuff in this also on that. It doesn't matter. It's just experience, but for majority of the use cases you don't need to worry too much. So it's like that's a compromise you make, right? If you get something at 1,500 rupees, I wouldn't mind putting a USB cable sitting next to it all the time, because that's my only computing device with me.
No, comparing to the Pentatab.
Pentatab is a much better one. I mean, battery life is quite okay. I think it comes for 6 to 8 hours. Depends on your use, of course. Okay, so I wanted to spend 2 minutes on UBSlate. Yeah, the last 2 slides. So UBSlate, I want to mention because they have a grand plan from a government point of view. I mean, who finally manufactures it is a different question. Datawind is doing it right now, but somebody else will do it later on. But the point is, it is built for consumption by masses in terms of education, health, lot of different use cases, which helps you to get into internet, into masses in rural India. So students get it almost at an incredible price, and I've seen some of the applications they have where they have the complete CBSE course material on the tablet. You could actually read through everything in the tablet. Yeah, so CBSE course material is there, quizzes, online quizzes, everything is bundled into that. There is also a keyboard which becomes your first laptop at 1,500 rupees in a way, because you can do most things. So what do you think these devices will do to internet consumption in India? Is it going to increase? Because it's not only phones now, actually internet becomes, this starts to replace your laptops. People who don't have a laptop, this will be their first device to buy at a much affordable price. So it's expected, as per the latest report, that the number of internet users will triple from the current 125 million to 330 million in the next 3 years. Yes?
How competitive is the market for a tablet and a netbook?
Okay, good question. I didn't cover the netbook, but it's like from the phone, you move towards a phablet and a taphone, but if you come from the laptop, you will come towards a netbook, which is coming towards a tablet. So netbook is as good a device as a tablet for any consumption, just that it comes with a keyboard attached. I mean, if you're not so, you don't want a jazzy experience of a touch, but you want a keyboard, the price point is the same. It's the same price point. Experience will be the same.
I actually want to ask if you had any figures from different areas, rural areas or areas that are, low-income areas. Who's buying what? Do you have any of that research? As Nokia Siemens, you must be doing that kind of market research, right? So
I don't have access right now to the data, but last years there was not so much of buy of these devices. It's a new phenomenon last 1 year. So I don't think too many research has been done, but I don't have the data, but if I find it, I can share it. Public data, I can share it. That's not a problem. But there was not so much report done a year back or two, because it is still not that prevalent. Nokia was doing some research, but mainly for the phones. And that's when the Asha series, Asha series, lot of data is available, because that's when they're even called the global phone as an Asha phone. Globally it's called Asha. I don't have it now, but I can share that. That's Asha data is there. Okay, last slide. I just want to leave these thoughts with you, because with these devices coming on the table, you can see those devices working quite well and bringing internet at a very low price. We talked right in the beginning that for 30 rupees probably for a week you get 3G internet, which is quite affordable by most people. We will have a lot of use cases coming in education, remote medicine, because these tablets, education it's a very good form factor for education, because a lot of books, a lot of educational content can be put on the tablets in a very easy way, and you can use it. Monitoring and remote medicine will come up. A lot of work happening in the e-commerce area, retail mainly, where most people are trying to move towards a form factor of a tablet. So you will get catalogs on tablet, you will get user experience points on tablets, that is you go to a shop, there is also virtual shopping guys coming up saying use a tablet, take a snap, and then it will tell you what dresses will fit for you and stuff like this. So it's all happening in India. I'm not talking about US, I'm talking about in India, people working on these topics. A lot of work happening in the agriculture area, a lot of work happening on media and entertainment, a lot of content is getting online. How many of you used Flipkart's flight service? Flight? light? It's been shut down. Yeah, 3 days back. No, just 3 days back. So why do you think they shut it down? We are talking so beautiful things, internet available, device available, everything was available. Why? No, this was online music download, digital music, so you could download it. It's yeah, okay, that's one. Music is free. It was 3 rupees, 2 rupees per song, 15 rupees per album, also in the next days. And internet is going to be free to a good extent. The price at which we are getting internet now, it tends to go lower and lower as we go. It's not going to increase very high, but it's very affordable. Faster speeds, when 4G comes, probably 3G itself gives you a faster speed on mobile. I'm not talking about fixed broadband is already getting very fast. You get 20 Mbps very comfortably right now, up to 50. So it's just something to watch out for, to keep looking around because things are happening around you and with your experiences of devices. So that's pretty much what I had. So you got to see some phones, you got to see some tablets, you got to see how to do settings, you saw your settings. At least next time you don't have to know how to set up your internet, you can just do it yourself. Hopefully you don't even have to do it, that it should work automatically. If at all you get a chance to do it, maybe you should do it without any issues. Okay, so thank you. Anything else you want to ask? Anything you want to discuss for a few minutes? I don't know. I think I shot my time quite badly. I didn't notice it.
I think, well, no words. I mean, we all really enjoyed the topic and thanks so much.